Today we're diving back into the wasteland with a brand new Fallout 4 build with a new Vegas twist. Layered in armor of rich legacy, strapped and bound with the trophies of the nightmares he has slain, the Beast Hunter takes up arms against all monsters of the wasteland, be that the mutated abominations that slaughter on instinct alone, or those that have willingly forsaken their humanity to become like vultures, picking on the carcass of civilization, savaging any bastions of order that seek to rebuild. Yet the Beast Hunter is no ideological champion of order fighting the tides of chaos, for he knows all too well the monsters of order, the very same that committed the lives of billions to nuclear apocalypse. He fights the good fight, he fights for families, for communities, for those who cannot or will not. This is his burden, his duty, his only source of comfort in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. We will dive into role-playing more extensively later, but of course you may be wondering about this truly epic aesthetic we have going on here. The Beast Hunter is almost entirely a vanilla build, but we will be using the free Fallout 4 creation, Tale of the Beast Hunter, released in November last year. Not only do we get this unique rendition of battle-hardened NCR Ranger armor, but we also get a new player home and an awesome new gun, Judge, with which we will be ridding the Commonwealth of monsters both big and small. Timestamps will be included for every section covering role-playing, character creation, the backstory, a complete list of leveling and perks, weapons and gear for early, mid, and late game, as well as a final wrap-up in the last section which summarizes how the character's stats, gear, and weapon choices all coalesce into a sensational playstyle. But before we get into the character creation setup, we wanted to let you know that we've been fortunate enough to have a sponsor for this video, GoDaddy, who've teamed up with Prime Video to celebrate Fallout Season 2 and ponder how wasteland businesses could thrive if they truly had access to the internet as we do today. Inspired by June, a cutthroat survivor with a profitable trading post, we created our own business with GoDaddy Aero. A Rady Yum was born quite literally from the remains of wasteland predators that we slayed while protecting the Brahmin on our ranch east of New Reno. As wasteland ranchers, we didn't know what to do with a website, but with GoDaddy Aero we handled things faster than a radroach on Jet. Domain? Done. Logo? Done. Page layouts that look good on any device? Done. Help crafting product descriptions? Also done. It's like right away for self-doubt. With Aero Pro we even generated every image on the site. It all came together in one simple website builder, and once we thought we were really done, GoDaddy Aero proactively recommended SEO boosts to help us reach more customers. It even suggested a blog, wrote our first post for it, and after we made some minor tweaks it whacked it straight onto our site at the click of a button. It even prepped content for social media, whatever that is. One thing at a time for us ranchers. If building your business feels like surviving a digital wasteland, there's an AI tool for that. Try building your own Fallout business with GoDaddy Aero for free using the link below, and tag us along with GoDaddy and Fallout on Prime. We want to see what you create. And don't forget to watch Fallout Season 2 only on Prime Video. The Beast Hunter is, as the name implies, about the hunt. His quarries are the many horrors of the wasteland that outnumber him, with some that are 10 times his size, with jaws, claws, and venom to boot, so stealth and strategy are going to be core to this build. We have designed the initial special stats with large investments in agility and luck because we want to be able to land the perfect powerful shots to take down these monsters before they have a chance to sniff us out and kill us. Plus VATS criticals are just so awesome. This combat-first approach also allows us to be sufficiently powerful in all situations before adding more stealth capabilities a little later. Starting with strength, we place only a single point in during character creation, bringing it to 2, mainly so that with the strength bobblehead we will be able to get the armor perk, which will help us tune up our gear. For perception we invest 2 points, bringing the total to 3. We are mainly in here for the rifleman perk, but we'll need that extra point to combine with the bobblehead we easily pick up in the Museum of Freedom to then access Locksmith, though we aren't in a rush to get that as we have many other priorities in terms of perks. More on that later. Endurance we set to 3, basically so our health isn't entirely dismal. We aren't the up close and personal type here, and we aren't investing in any of the perks, so it is really just a health boost. If you feel like you can handle one endurance and will just put more effort into your stealth gameplay with plenty of caution and stealth boys, then you can definitely do so. And then you could just add those extra 2 points into agility or luck, meaning you could spend less perk points on increasing those attributes later on. But as for a broad prescription, we'd advise 3 endurance endurance for most playthroughs. Charisma will be left at 1. Our character is more of the strong silent type as opposed to some sort of charming orator, and we want to take advantage of companions and therefore aren't getting the Lone Wanderer perk. A Lone Wolf Sniper is a fun playstyle and you can go off on your own sometimes, but it gets old with no one to talk to, plus I think you get far more out of factions when you use a companion. I'll talk more about companions in that section, but it is worth noting that if you choose to go the Lone Wolf way instead, you could take those 2 points from endurance and put them in charisma instead for the sake of access to the Lone Wanderer perk, which is a no-brainer choice for a solo build. Anyways, we leave charisma at 1. We bring intelligence to 3, which will give us access to medic and the gun nut perks. Medic is just a quality of life thing that we like to have, and gun nut is going to be used to craft all the attachments we desire for our unique gun judge. With the bobblehead later on, we will also gain access to the hacker perk. The final incarnation of this build at level 50 will be able to get into any location he desires, whether that be blocked by keyhole or computer, wherever the hunt may lead him. Now we get to our 2 most important stats, starting with agility. We invest 7 points into agility, bringing the total to 8. Primarily, agility affords us more action points, which means more shots in VATS, and of course it also provides access to a whole host of stealth-related perks, such as Sneak, Ninja, and Mr. Sandman. It also gives us access to Action Boy to boost our AP regen. We will be increasing agility further through level ups, and it is important to remember to not get the agility bobblehead until we've increased it to 10, because then we can get the bobblehead to take it to 11, which affords us just enough total action points to be able to fire off 2 shots in a single instance of VATS with our endgame weapon. Luck will also be 8 to start with, and it's super essential for the crit heavy playstyle we have going on. There are so many awesome perks here as well. Now for luck we are doing the same as agility, bringing it to 10 through some level ups later on, and refraining from getting the bobblehead until afterwards so that it becomes 11. I also want to note that in Sanctuary under Sean's crib we can get a free point to our special stats through the special book. We will select luck here, bringing our starting total to 9 luck, which then starts us off with access to all the perks we want from this stat line, including 4-Leaf Clover, Grim Reaper's Sprint, Critical Banker, Better Criticals, and the Quality of Life perk Scrounger. I'll speak more about these perks in the leveling section, but in summary, the Beast Hunter build's starting stats are 2 Strength, 3 Perception, 3 Endurance, 1 Charisma, 3 Intelligence, 8 Agility, and 8 Luck, with the special book going into luck, bringing it to 9. Now we understand how to make the character, it's time for the backstory. Born and raised in Boston, Noah Blackburn lived a rather idyllic life. His father was a builder and military veteran. His mother was a nurse. Noah spent many days on camping and fishing trips with his father, who himself was quite the outdoorsman. The young Noah had many friends at school. He was a responsible, well-liked guy. He experienced the American way of life, just like those perfect little snapshots you see on propaganda posters that began appearing in far greater number throughout his childhood. Global tensions were heating up his whole life. He would wake up at night for the bathroom only to see his father shaking his head at the TV in the dark, rattling off murmurs to his mother about the European Commonwealth or something about Chinese spies. At such a young age, Noah didn't understand the wider world, only the freshly waxed cars and Sunday barbecues with the neighborhood kids. At age 15, global tensions between China and the USA had come to a boil with the invasion of Alaska. Straight from school, the little fish that was Noah fell hook, line, and sinker for the propaganda that threw bodies into the meat grinder. A decade-long conflict that was the Sino-American War. Noah signed up with the military the second he hit 18 in 2069. He completed 2 tours fighting in Alaska on the front lines in years 69 and 70. It was an eye-opening and heart-hardening experience for the young man. The bloodshed, the brothers in arms vaporized by explosives in an instant. For those years, violence became just another part of life, like morning coffee or broken sleep. Noah killed many. He watched his officers torture captives and then followed their commands to the letter. Left index finger, right pinky, front tooth. Images of bodies savaged and pulled apart like a Thanksgiving turkey. By the end of it all, Noah Blackburn was lucky to be alive, but he left Alaska feeling almost as expendable as the foes he had killed. He was scarred by what had transpired, and when he returned to his mother and father in 71, he was a man entirely different to the boy who had left. His father, who had before been incredibly private, spoke to him about his own experience in the invasion of Mexico in 2051 and revealed he still struggled with trauma himself. He shared all he could and sought to help Noah transition back to civilian life. They went on camping and fishing trips just like they did back in the day, and he even brought Noah into his business. For several years, he worked with his father building houses and doing structural repairs, meditative manual work that showed Noah that his hands were not just those of a killer, they could build and heal. It was in these years of working for his father that he met Nora, a beautiful local woman who he chanced upon while renovating a wing of the Suffolk County School of Law. The two dated, fell in love, and married. An American love story, but not one without trials. Year 2075, desperate for more soldiers, the US government implemented a new program with extensive pension benefits and housing subsidies if they were to re-enlist. Noah was freshly married, less than a year, but business with his father was far from flourishing. The economy was faltering, and he could truly see no way of funding his future family without these military benefits. With no small reluctance, Noah re-enlisted and fought in Alaska once more. He returned year 2076 with minor wounds, yet this time he was far more numb to the horrors afflicted by both sides. Throughout all the nights of cold winds and the sounds of bombshells in the distance, he kept a vision of Nora and their future family at the forefront of his mind. Those housing subsidies were certainly ample, and combined with Nora's income made as a lawyer, they bought their first home in Sanctuary Hills. Together they were blessed with a baby boy whom they named Sean, the first of many children to be added to the Blackburn family, or so they thought. On October 23rd, 2077, the bombs fell. Noah, Nora, and Sean were rushed into Vault 111, and everything changed. So now you understand the story that brought Noah Blackburn to the point where he is cryogenically frozen in the vault for over 200 years. Everything is gone except for that one glimpse, that one hope that his son Sean is out there, somewhere. As he emerges from the vault, he will set out on the trail of Sean, but along the way he'll come into contact with violent beasts, raiders, and several individuals whom he feels compelled to help, such as Preston Garvey and his group. Entering combat for the first time since his military days, Noah will realize that he'll have to fight a bit differently if he wants to survive. There's no large group of soldiers around him to coordinate with, and some of his foes aren't other men, but giant monsters, far faster and stronger than any mortal. Fighting from a distance, staying hidden as much as possible, this is the kind of approach that he decides any wise person would take. Not utilizing stealth would be like expecting to win a coin toss 20 times in a row. He may be a lucky guy, but somewhere along the way you're going to lose that bet. Now before I start getting into quest and faction specifics, let's lay out Noah Blackburn's character inspiration in general. Think of this character like a mix between Geralt of Rivia and the Survivalist of New Vegas' Honest Hearts DLC, a character of benevolent action, a guardian angel of sorts, with no need for glory or vanity in his good deeds, but still, compared to the Survivalist Randall Clark, the Beast Hunter will play a more involved role in community and relationships. While Noah is a strong, silent type who will become a very stealthy hunter, he often brings along companions, especially those that provide a bit of fun contrast, such as Deacon. More about that in a bit. The Geralt of Rivia influence is more about the hunting monsters thing, but also his dutiful commitment both to his profession, but also to his friends. Noah Blackburn may do his best to rid the wasteland of its deadliest beasts, but ultimately he is a people-first character, not getting wrapped up in the extreme philosophies held by control the world type factions. He is far more invested in local communities, families and friends, and the very real needs of real people. Protection, food, shelter, love, and freedom from those who think they know better. Naturally, due to his past experience seeing war for what it really is, the Beast Hunter is skeptical of grand ideologies that, in reality, tend to be death traps for the people that live under them. Such ideas can even prove fatal for those who grasp them with both hands. This is why he will ultimately oppose the Institute and their scientists who believe the ends justify the means. In our playthrough, we thought it best that he sides with the Railroad in the main story, as they will come across as the best resource for helping him access the Institute, seeing as they've been fighting them for years. Their anti-Institute philosophy stands in opposition to the unaccountable power driven by the egos of individuals who think they should shepherd humanity no matter the cost. He also considers the Railroad's mission to liberate thinking, feeling synths to be a noble goal, fully taking on the view that they are just like people, especially after meeting Valentine and certain members of the Railroad. I just think joining the Railroad is the most agreeable and useful faction for our Beast Hunter character. The Minutemen is absolutely another option you could go with, however you can still become the Minutemen General and expand the settlement network, helping innocent settlers without doing the main questline with this faction. As much of a meme as it has become, helping settlements fits well with this build's mindset. There are many opportunities to defend innocent lives from violent super mutants and other mutated monstrosities. We also don't think it feels as good narratively that Sturges could whip together the extremely advanced technology used to teleport into the Institute, but again, it's completely up to you. There is a ton of cool content with the Railroad faction and a whole host of stealthy subterfuge type missions that work well with our character's skill set. The Beast Hunter will also feel that the Brotherhood of Steel are not good for the Commonwealth, that they are likely to repeat the mistakes of the past. The path to hell is paved with good intentions and all that. He won't like that they're anti-synth, anti-ghoul, and generally against common people having tech and autonomy. Once we use the Railroad to track down Sean to the Institute, Noah Blackburn's life will be turned upside down. Spoilers if you somehow haven't played Fallout 4 or don't know about the big reveal, but the son you have been tracking down turns out to be an old man and leader of the Institute. This is going to provide a whole ton of internal conflict for Noah, but at the same time he has seen the horrors of the Institute, and he knows firsthand the world that was lost to people just like Sean. He will ultimately regret that he cannot save his son from this path, but he cannot follow it, and will ultimately choose to save the Commonwealth from the nefarious whims of the Institute. The world has already ended once thanks to people who thought themselves gods among men. Of course, the Beast Hunter will go to great lengths to protect the Commonwealth from factions who wish to exert their will upon it, to the point where some may see slithers of hypocrisy in his actions. We think this makes him feel all the more real, but do remember, he is primarily a hunter of wasteland monsters and protector of those who cannot save themselves. He will spend much time upholding such duties, but of course we believe a Fallout 4 playthrough is best with a main story angle as well. Beyond the main questline, there are a host of side quests and DLC content to complete. As a general guide for side quests, the Beast Hunter will do the classic good thing, and is invested in the safety and protection of the common man. The good works are their own reward. Typically, he will deny payments, particularly from the desperate and needy, but he is happy to accept payment from those who can clearly afford it, especially if he feels he's in a spot where he needs the caps to carry on his work. This duty he has taken on, the burden to protect others, is in some ways as much a service to himself as it is to others. It is this belief in the good and his duty to help it prevail against the horrors of the wasteland that brings him some measure of peace and sanity in this chaotic world. Alaska showed him how thin the line is, how quickly the cynic turns to savagery when the concept of good is no longer believed in. As a stealthy sniper, he is well suited for hunting creatures that most settlers simply can't stand a chance against, and he will proactively seek them out, destroying them before they have a chance to wander into settlements and cities. He feels at peace knowing each and every monster he kills will never be a threat again. Deathclaws, rad scorpions, hostile super mutants, feral ghouls, various large insects, Mirelurk queens, Yao Guai, all will fall in the center of Noah's scope. Locations like the Museum of Witchcraft should definitely be visited. Just remember that he is friendly towards ghouls and super mutants if they are also civilized and clearly not aggressive. He only attacks the feral, attack on sight type monsters. In the Far Harbor DLC, Noah will happily take down Shipbreaker, the powerful fog crawler old Longfellow has been seeking to kill. Other creatures on the island, like anglers and gulpers, are perfect prey for this build. As far as the story here goes, the Beast Hunter will strongly oppose the insanity of the Children of Adam, with violence when it becomes necessary, and protect and side with the people of the Isle. This build will help the synths of Arcadia as much as he can, but he will not agree to the kind of murder and manipulation that Dima would want you to take part in. Dima's methods remind him of the Institute's. The precise way you handle things and how it unfolds is up to you. You may wish to have Dima confess to the people of Far Harbor, and then after his death, convince the townsfolk not to attack Arcadia, which is quite doable if you've helped them a lot, though to convince Dima to confess in the first place, you may have to save Scummit, it's up to you. Perhaps you embrace that you're unable to prevent a tragic outcome here despite your best efforts. It goes without saying that during the Nuka World DLC, the Beast Hunter will be freeing the captives and taking down the raider gangs that would otherwise end up running rampant through the Commonwealth. The environment outside the amusement park is also an excellent place to explore in NCR Ranger gear. It's just very aesthetically pleasing and gets me excited for a new Vegas remaster. There's also plenty of new beasts to hunt out here, like bloodworms, cave crickets, gator claws, and unique variants of creatures you're already familiar with. Happy hunting! Before we move on from the role-playing section and into the meat and potatoes of the build that is leveling and perks, I do want to talk about companion choices. We designed this build without the Lone Wanderer perk, which may be a typically desired choice for stealthy sniper type characters, and this is really because we wanted a different kind of experience, one that emphasizes his connection to the people he protects and helps. We want the Beast Hunter to develop intimate connections with the inhabitants of the Wasteland. As I mentioned, the Railroad is the main faction we will be supporting in the main quest, making Deacon a great option for a companion. He seems to function quite well in stealthy situations, particularly if you give him a suppressed weapon, and his max affinity perk gives extended stealth boy duration and more sneak attack damage, and I think ultimately his general charming, aloof demeanor provides a nice contrast to the more gruff and serious personality of the Beast Hunter. Yet both he and the Beast Hunter are unified in their commitment to doing good in the Wasteland, and they mostly agree on what that means. Though aside from Deacon, I do think during your playthrough you should experience time with a bunch of the other companions, especially during questing that is relevant to them. There may be some chafing with certain companions like McCready or Kate for example, but that can make things interesting. Companions like Curie, Preston, Garvey or Valentine will align more so with our character and have less friction. There's also Old Longfellow, who was mentioned when we talked about Far Harbor. His companion perk is literally called Hunter's Wisdom, and it reduces the damage resistance and energy resistance of animals and sea creatures by 25%. It's quite on theme for this build, so you can travel with him at times if you'd like, but we prefer Deacon's energy as our go-to companion overall. Okay, so it's time to jump into the perks. I'm going to take you through leveling at each stage, explaining my choices and presenting how they factor into the build. I have arbitrarily divided this next section into 3 parts. Early game, levels 1 through 20, mid game, 20 through 35, and late game, levels 35 through 50, which in my experience largely encapsulates a Fallout 4 playthrough, at least the bulk of it. However, of course, you can continue this build and evolve it however you'd like. Let's dive into the early game. We have a lot of perks to get for the foundation of this build, and unfortunately we can't get them all at once, so these early game stages of leveling will have to involve a bit of triage. In general, we are aiming for early game perks that apply most broadly to all situations, and then later on we can niche in and enhance things like stealth capabilities and access to locked areas. For our first perk point at level 2, we will put this into Rifleman, very straightforward boost of 20% to our non-automatic rifle damage. Level 3 we get Grim Reaper's Sprint, which gives any kill made in VATS a 15% chance to instantly restore all action points, so when this procs, we can get straight back into VATS. This perk is very important for the build, and as it levels through the ranks, it will only get better. As I mentioned in the character creation section, we will be getting the special book in Sanctuary and putting the bonus attribute point into luck, making it 9, so with that done, we can access the perk 4-Leaf Clover at level 4. This gives each of our hits in VATS a chance to instantly restore our critical meter. The first rank confers an 8% chance, so about 1 in 12 hits will instantly get us a crit back, and this new benefit will inform our next perk choice. At level 5, we get Critical Banker 1, which allows us to store an additional critical hit. By this point, we can start using criticals more liberally because there will be a chance that we instantly proc 4-Leaf Clover, gaining an additional crit. Ideally, from a pure damage output perspective, we want all our hits to be contributing towards a potential potential new crit. So I wouldn't sit there with 2 criticals banked for a long period of time, otherwise we just aren't taking full advantage of this perk in the case it procs but we don't have any crit slots left. That said, you will notice in some of the gameplay footage that our end game judge, fully upgraded, remains pretty accurate even at medium to kind of longish ranges even without using the scope. I must admit that sometimes while playing this build I just found it to be super fun to play like that and save some action points and crits when I felt like getting kills was easy without using them. But of course, constant VATS and crits use is the most effective use of this build in combat. At level 6 we take better criticals, which gives our crits 50% more damage. We've now established a good baseline for our combat. All of these perks apply to any situation and provide the most important foundation for the crit heavy VATS playstyle. Now we can focus on some quality of life perks. At level 7 and 8 we take Scrounger rank 1 and 2. Rank 1 grants a 40% chance to find additional ammunition in containers, and rank 2 boosts that to a 70% chance to find even more ammunition in containers, but containers also includes corpses of fallen enemies, meaning that we will be able to loot a ton of ammo, and this has 2 benefits. First, it obviously allows us to accrue ammo for the gun we use, but it also allows us to gather lots of other ammo to then sell. Ammo is weightless, so we can freely pick up all the ammo we find and simply sell that which we don't use. It's a great way to build up a steady flow of caps to buy ammo you actually do use, among other things, without having to solely rely on looting weapons and armor, which are much heavier, and we don't have heaps of carry weight due to lower strength. So getting these ranks of Scrounger early is great for ammo collection and money making, and also consider it helps offset the fact that we don't have high charisma. So to reiterate, pick up all ammo when looting. At level 9 we get the next rank of Rifleman, which takes our rifle damage to a 40% boost, plus our shots ignore 15% of enemy armor. At level 10 we get Medic 1, which is another quality of life perk, making Stimpaks heal 40% of your max health and right away heal 40% of your max or lethal radiation level. This one rank makes a nice difference, and it's helpful in tight spots where rapid healing is needed. Okay, so with the first 10 levels, the Beast Hunter build has a really good combat foundation and some neat quality of life perks. Now we can start to spec into our stealth playstyle. The rationale for the delay on investing in Sneak for the first 10 levels really is that Sneak's advantages end the second you are discovered. At low levels and without optimized gear, you tend to get discovered much more than a late game character would, so the idea was to build a solid VATS foundation first, with plenty of critical hits to help out massively in all combat scenarios, then start investing in stealth. Levels 11, 12, and 13 will all be invested into getting 3 ranks of Sneak, ultimately making us 40% harder to detect while sneaking, and will no longer trigger floor-based traps or enemy mines. At level 14, we take Ninja rank 1, which makes our ranged sneak attacks do 2.5 times normal damage, and at level 15, we take Better Criticals 2, which makes our crits do twice as much extra damage. Then at level 16, we take a Ninja 2, which brings our sneak attack damage to triple. We now have some truly powerful assassination capabilities. Remember that criticals always hit, meaning accuracy isn't a factor, so we can stealth our way around and target a body part with only a 3% chance to hit, and then activate a critical to accurately hit it from the shadows, dealing huge amounts of damage. At level 17, we get Critical Banker 2, allowing us to bank another critical hit, meaning in total we could have 3 crits ready to go at any time. At level 18, we have Rifleman 3, which grants 60% more non-automatic rifle damage that ignores 20% of a target's armor. At 19, we get Grim Reaper's Sprint 2, which takes that 15% chance to a 25% chance, which is a huge buff, a 1 in 4 chance to restore all our action points on a VATS kill, which, due to our other perks, will be happening all the time. At level 20, we get the first rank of Locksmith to pick advanced locks. We will certainly have found the Perception Bobblehead in the Museum of Freedom by now, and we really want this to just start opening up more loot opportunities and also access to new areas when stealthing about. Now we enter the mid-game stage of the build. The Beast Hunter has its foundational elements established. The stealth capabilities with sneak attack multipliers from Ninja, the luck perks giving us a ton of VATS critical damage output, and those extra helpers like Scrounger, Medic, and Locksmith. At level 21 and 22, we actually take the second and third ranks of Locksmith so that we can pick Master Locks, and at level 23 we get Sneak 4, which makes us 50% harder to detect and makes running no longer affect stealth. At level 24, we take Scrounger 3, bringing the chance to find even more ammo to 100%. It's a nice boost to have. In this mid-game section, we will likely be at the stage where we are acquiring the Beast Hunter armor and the Weapon Judge. The earlier we get this, the better, but it can be a tough fight for an early game character. If you do put down mines before battle begins and use explosive weapons like a Fat Man, then the battle is much easier to win at a lower level. Anyways, it's important that we start working on our crafting capabilities so that we can enhance this unique gear. You will have been able to get by without crafting so far, either by finding or buying silenced gear, but ultimately you'll need to invest in Gun Nut, as our unique Weapon Judge requires the highest rank for a suppressor. We can still use Judge as a main weapon for combat situations, especially from a long distance, but you will probably prefer to use a separate silenced weapon for the initial stealth kills. That said, if we are far enough away, using crits to compensate for the low chance to hit, we can use Judge with a lower risk of getting caught. Ideally, if we are hunting down a particular target or tough enemy like some Alert Queen or Legendary Deathclaw, we can still use Judge to unload crits from a distance. But of course, you're perfectly welcome to use it after you've been discovered until it's silenced. This temporary inconvenience will be rectified by the late game, and you'll be able to have other cool rifles to use when silence is of utmost importance. But let's get back to the leveling. So at levels 25 and 26, we get rank 1 and 2 of Gun Nut, and levels 27 and 28 are spent on Action Boy ranks 1 and 2, giving us 50% faster action point regen, allowing more use of VATS. At level 29, we will need to get the Strength Bobblehead, taking our strength to 3 so we can get the first rank of Armorer, followed by the second rank at level 30. This is all we need to customize our armor how we want. More on that in the gear section. At level 31, we will get Rifleman 4, which takes the damage boost to 80%, the armor ignored up to 25%, and we now get a small 6% chance to cripple a limb. Now this is where we need to start boosting some of our special stats. We add +1 to agility at level 32, at level 33 we get Ninja 3 to give our ranged sneak attack damage a 3.5x multiplier, and then at level 34 we take another point of agility, bringing the total to 10, and then we do the same for luck, adding a point at level 35. At this point, with both agility and luck at 10, we can track down the bobbleheads for each of these stats and increase them to 11 each. For agility especially, this is really important, ensuring that we can, at full AP, fire off 2 consecutive shots in VATS with our end game maximally customized gun, Judge, maximizing our damage output in a single flurry. Sneak attacks, double crits with Judge, AP constantly filling up with new crits to bank, this setup will annihilate the monsters of the wasteland, whether they walk on 2, 4, or even more legs. Now we start to enter the late game period, level 35 onwards. For some, that is merely the beginning of an even longer adventure. Whether you plan to play to level 100 or not, it's time to round out the build and put the final cherries on top. At level 36, we grab the first rank of Mr. Sandman, which increases sneak attack damage with silenced weapons by 15%, and we can instantly kill a sleeping person if you ever find a raider in a bed. At level 37, we get Gun Nut 3, at level 38, we get Action Boy 3, making our AP regen 75% faster, and then at level 39 we get Gun Nut 4, which ensures that we can get our Weapon Judge, a suppressor, and a 50 cal receiver. I'll go over the gear more extensively in that section, but the short of it is that now our stealth effectiveness is way higher with our signature weapon. At level 40 we get the final rank of Better Criticals, so that our crits do 2.5 times as much extra damage. At levels 41 and 42 we get the 2 remaining ranks of Mr. Sandman, giving our silenced weapons an additional 50% sneak attack damage, which of course applies to our recently suppressed Judge. At level 43 we get Critical Banker 3, which allows us to bank 3 additional crits, and this gives banking a critical a 5% chance to instantly bank another one. For levels 44 and 45 we actually went with Hacker 1 and 2, allowing us to hack up to expert computers. Keep in mind that we will have had to acquire the Intelligence Bobblehead by this point. I thought this would add some extra flavor to the Beast Hunter, the idea that this man can no longer be halted. He is the ultimate pathfinder, unable to be blocked by any obstacle. Well, that is until we get Hacker 3 a bit later. Perhaps some of the railroad guys taught him how to code. You may decide to pick up something else instead of Hacker. It's not essential to the build, just our personal choice. I'll mention a possible alternative in the late game gear section. At level 46, we can take the final rank of Grim Reaper's Sprint, which is crazy good. Any kill in VATS has a 35% chance to restore all action points and refill your critical meter. At this point, you're basically going to feel like you have crits available at all times. At level 47, we have Rifleman 5, which gives the full 100% boost to non-auto rifle damage while ignoring 30% of armor and grants a slightly higher chance, 8% of crippling a limb. At level 48, we get Hacker 3, granting us access to those master terminals. At 49, I took 4-Leaf Clover rank 2, which increases the 8% for a hit in VATS to refill the crit meter to 10%. The first rank is obviously the best, the other ranks bring diminishing returns, only adding an additional 2% each rank. However, I just like to take it to rank 2 to just give it a clean 1 in 10 chance per hit in VATS. You could max it out if you like instead of taking ranks of Hacker, but just bear in mind further investment than rank 1 is technically less bang for buck. And finally, at level 50, we get Critical Banker 4, which allows us to store 4 additional criticals, meaning with the base crit, we can have a total of 5 critical hits ready to fire off, plus tons of ways to gain criticals back with ease. I'll wrap it all up and summarize in the playstyle section. So at level 50, the final tally for the special stats, including the special book and all bobbleheads for all stats, is 3 strength, 4 perception, 4 endurance, 2 charisma, 4 intelligence, 11 agility, and 11 luck. While wielding our weapon Judge with the Ace of Spades playing card, we gain +2 luck, making our effective luck 13, which is pretty crazy because 13 luck basically equates to every 4 hits in VATS, filling the crit meter. But before I wrap up how insane this gets in the playstyle section, let's get everyone on the same page understanding the weapons and gear this build uses and when. Weapons and gear, of course, varies as you progress throughout your playthrough, so this section will try to cover some recommendations and equipment goals, following up to the late game gear, which ends with the fully realized character. As a general note for our stealth-focused build, stealth boys are going to be a coveted piece of equipment that once we have a lot of them, can be used liberally. Railroad stealth boys can also be used. These devices render you invisible, and we thought it felt really cool to have this Beast Hunter character often applying a kind of active camo, hunting his foes like a predator. I mentioned earlier in the role-playing and companion section that we will be using Deacon primarily as our companion, but role-playing reasons aside, Deacon's max affinity perk, Cloak and Dagger, will make our stealth boys last 40% longer. The perk also says it provides 20% more sneak attack damage, which has some complicated intricacies regarding exactly how it applies alongside other perks. It's not super worth worrying about, but it seems you get the best multiplier by getting Cloak and Dagger before Mr. Sandman 3, which we get at level 42, so that should be easy to accomplish. Do note that in a lot of the footage I didn't have this set up properly, so this is what the sneak attack multipliers should be looking like. On to the early game gear. As I said in the leveling section, in the early game, stealth is going to be harder to maintain because we favor going after the VATS critical related perks because they apply to all scenarios, and hence for those early levels, particularly 1 to 10, we don't have to worry too much about prioritizing suppressed weapons. That said, if you really want to get one fast, one way of getting a suppressed rifle real quick is going into this building here near the Museum of Freedom. Upstairs you can find a pipe sniper rifle. Then at the Drumlin Diner, not too far away, you can buy a suppressed pipe pistol from Trudy. Head back to Sanctuary and you'll be able to take the suppressor off the pistol using the weapons workbench and put it onto the sniper rifle without any crafting perks. In addition to this, any other non-automatic rifles will be great to have, of course even without silencers. I'm even including things like the laser musket or even the double barrel shotgun, particularly as you will have less ammo to start with, and using multiple weapons can help spread ammo drain around. As we start getting to level 10 and onwards, do keep an eye out for any other suppressed weapons you you can use, as this is where we start investing in stealth perks, and these will help us stay sneaky as we pick off our foes. As for the armor, you can keep it really simple with road leathers and leather or metal pieces strapped on, something to mimic the cobbled together look of the Beast Hunter armor in the interim. You can go for the assault mask or a flight helmet to try and replicate a similar feel. Once we are above level 20, we can probably go get that Beast Hunter gear. As I mentioned earlier, you can go earlier if you want. Just bring explosives to make things easier, or just make sure you save your game before battle. As for the quest itself, I won't spoil it for you, but on the east coast of the map, up here on this little connected bit of land where Nahant's sheriff department is, you can tune into an emergency frequency using your radio and begin the quest Home Away from Home. Follow through on the quest, and by the end of it, you will have a really cool hideout for your character that you can fast travel straight into, as well as the Ranger Beast Hunter helmet and outfit. You will of course get the unique weapon Marksman's Judge. Its unique effect reads, headshots can stagger and deal escalating bonus damage. This bonus resets if a 4-second timer expires, but each headshot refreshes this timer, allowing you to maintain it. It is neat to have, and there's some more complicated stuff going on with it in the back end, but basically, with all our crits and how fast we kill everything, it's not like you'll be benefiting from this effect on every target that you fight. Now, like I mentioned in the leveling section, just because we can acquire the Beast Hunter gear doesn't mean we can instantly realize its full potential or aesthetic. Judge is technically a shotgun, and for it to be a 50 cal and fully specced out, we will need Gun Nut 4, which can't be achieved until level 39. So hold on to your trusted suppressed sniper you've been using. That said, do upgrade Judge as much as you can, and put a scope on it, and do everything you can to use it at a long distance. It's surprisingly decent here. You can also just use it indoors if you want to clear through a bunch of foes loudly without the suppressor. In order to fully upgrade the armor, we will need to hunt down the mythic Deathclaw for its hide as part of the legendary hunt quest. You can find everything you need to start that quest in the Beast Hunter hideout. By level 30, we have 2 ranks of armor, so we can upgrade the armor with Deep Pocketed, which is a convenience choice, but we like it for this build, giving more carry capacity for looting considering we have low strength. However, you could also go for Asbestos Lining, mainly to bring up our energy resistance, but then again, we are generally supposed to be out of the fire line and stealthing for the most part, so I like the extra carry capacity here. Armor 2 also gives you more options to change perks around or get new ones, and then mess with the helmet mods, though we preferred not using them. More on that soon. I should also mention that our weapon Judge does have this unique mod slot in the form of a playing card strapped to the barrel, which allows us to choose a playing card that provides these extra special effects, but as mentioned, we do like the Ace of Spades card, which is actually the one it comes with, in terms of having the best synergy for this specific build. This grants us +2 luck and makes critical hits refill our action points, and for us using a build that is built around getting off tons of critical hits, this is amazing. We literally have guaranteed refill of AP after a critical hit, and with Grim Reaper's Sprint as well, we have a 35% chance to get a full AP refill on a VATS kill. It's safe to say we will pretty much always have action points available for VATS. This effect was too good to give up, and the +2 luck takes the 5 VATS hits needed to charge up the crit meter down to 4. It is a huge benefit of this unique gun, however, until we can get that suppressor, it may still be inferior for your stealth goals at this stage. I would probably lean on a suppressed weapon like a combat rifle or something to that effect until we can build a suppressor for Judge, but Judge at this point is ideal for open combat, and even for hunting single large targets like Deathclaws, where maintaining stealth doesn't matter as much because once it's dead, combat is over. Without Gun Nut, you can still give the long barrel to this gun. Choose either the long or short scope, it's really up to you here. It can be a bit of a personal preference if you don't want the zoom to be too much, though we did go with the long scope. Give it the best receiver you can for now, but it's the late game where it really takes off. So with Gun Nut 4 at level 39, we can upgrade it with the suppressor and the 50 cal receiver, taking our damage and stealth effectiveness through the roof. Surely by now we would have been able to track down the mythic Deathclaw and upgrade our armor with the Deathclaw Bandolier. Like the original quest, this is doable earlier if you just show up really prepared. Again, you could just go with explosives and such to quickly deal extreme damage. Be under no illusion, we mainly get the Deathclaw Bandolier for the cool hunter aesthetic. sick, but it does improve our carrying capacity further, and it also gives us temporary access to the Wasteland Whisperer perk while equipped. A novel benefit, but one we aren't really taking advantage of as part of our playstyle. Same goes for the Deathclaw jaw that we add to the helmet. It basically just looks sick, but it does boost our charisma by 2 points as well, which is neat. The helmet can be upgraded with night vision or thermal vision, which is cool thematically. I understand it completely, but we don't feel that they're entirely necessary. We already have Armorer 2, but thermal vision requires Science rank 1 as well, which could be achieved if you wanted to by putting 2 points into Intelligence and getting 1 rank of Science after level 50, or if you don't care about getting Hacker, for example, you could easily swap those 3 points for 2 boosts to Intelligence and the rank 1 of Science required for thermal vision crafting. We know a lot of people would find these options cool, however, through personal testing, we found that in the long term, we didn't really enjoy how much it changed the visuals of base gameplay, considering how often we were using stealth. The last thing to mention is the use of flashbang grenades. Now, you can get these from the Beast Hunter creation, and you can also craft them. They temporarily blind and disorient targets, and can be an effective tool if you are found and overwhelmed, but to be honest, for this build at least, they are more of a novelty, since the damage output of this build is insane, and we are hardly in a situation where we can't just melt our enemies with the ungodly reaction time of VATS. Still, you can use them and any other explosive grenades you find liberally if battle calls for it. Why not? Speaking of which, let's summarize the build and see how all the different elements coalesce into the distinctly satisfying playstyle of the Beast Hunter. Of course, all of these elements build in their effectiveness over time as we increase our special stats and gain perks, but ultimately the approach will be the same. Stealth is the priority, and taking out as many targets as we can, ideally all of them from a distance with a suppressed weapon. Before level 39, when we can get a suppressor on Judge, it may be best in a scenario with numerous weaker enemies to pick off as many as we can with a suppressed rifle we have found or bought, and use Judge for open combat, or that opening shot or 2 on single tough targets with VATS crits in sneak mode. You'll get a feel for those choices the more you play. By level 50, with all of our gear fully upgraded, we will have some insane synergies. We are getting huge sneak attack damage from 3 ranks of Ninja and 3 ranks of Mr. Sandman, and we also have bonus sneak damage from the Cloak and Dagger perk from Deacon. Then we have our action points at 170 with 11 agility, a big enough pool for us to get off 2 VATS hits with our 50 cal Judge, but we also have a ton of specs that assist in action point recovery. Action Boy rank 3 gives us that comfy baseline of 75% more AP regen, plus we have Grim Reaper Sprint rank 3, which functionally gives us a little over a 1 in 3 chance to recoup all action points on a VATS kill and refill the crit meter, and on top of that, our gun's Ace of Spades ability makes critical hits restore our action points immediately, so basically we're just getting AP all the time. Also remember that it's only going to take 4 hits in VATS to fill the crit meter. Thanks to Critical Banker rank 4, we can store 5 of these crits, and storing a crit has a 5% chance to give you another one. Plus with 4-Leaf Clover rank 2, we have that 1 in 10 chance of any VATS hit giving us another stored crit. We have so many sources for easily stacking up criticals. It's basically an Ouroboros of epic kill cams. Just remember that if you do want to save AP or just want a more hands-on experience, you can of course just play with the scope manually, or even without the scope relatively easily, as you would have seen in the footage. Look, if you're going to be playing this build for a lot of hours, there's going to be times where you just decide you don't want to use VATS, and that's perfectly okay, even if it is the best way to play this build. Thank you so much for watching this brand new Fallout 4 build, and another massive thank you to our sponsor today, GoDaddy. Fallout Season 2 had us wanting to revisit Fallout, and the Beast Hunter creation brings in the perfect amount of New Vegas nostalgia. I hope you have lots of fun with the Beast Hunter build. Subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it. My name is Michael, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again very soon.